Yeah.
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 So you're gonna start serving liquor?
Tonight?
No, not,
Not tonight, sir.
Yeah, St. Elizabeth's is gonna have open bar.
Yeah, that's right.
That's part of their announcement.
well, we have wine at noon. It comes with communion.
Yeah,
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday.
This is how times have changed, because I'm sure this does not exist anymore. When my grandfather was in St. Elizabeth's many, many years ago, they let him bring in small 7-ounce, a 6-pack of small 7-ounce Falstaff. And they kept it in the nurses' center in the refrigerator, and he could have one a day.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
I remember those days.
Do you
Oh,
remember?
yes. Yeah. Sometimes doctors would write a physician order.
Oh, is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I've seen that before, yeah.
Well, you know, my story, my great-grandfather on Roach side, he was a farmer out on the east side of town, and he died when he was 93 years old. And he was an Irishman. Had a habit, when he'd go out in the field in the morning, he'd have a shot of liquor in his coffee and with his big breakfast before he goes out. And then when he came back in the evening, he'd have his big meal, then he'd sit out on the veranda, and he would have one cigar and one highball. Well, my dad tells the story that when great-grandpa passed away at 93, one of his sisters came out and said, if it wasn't for his smoking and drinking, he'd still be alive today. That may be what kept him alive so long.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. I think
At
so.
93, you can pretty much do whatever you want.
You
right?
got that right, exactly.
Wow.
See, now, we're not gonna tell you what he's got in that cup.
Uh-oh.
Coke Zero.
Coke Zero.
I didn't look at the
Not that bad.
When I looked on Friday, there wasn't an agenda, but then it sounds like Camille peaked today, and there were some things, but I don't think it's very robust. But I
And
don't,
we're probably,
I think up front, yeah.
Do I just keep sharing or do I need to unshare?
So with the,
Just keep it?
do you have Verizon? So it just came back on, as you know, about an hour ago, and I saw that there was some email trafficking from Dave or Steve saying the application was
And then move over.
complete. But was there more people? I mean, I didn't really read all the emails. Was there more
Do I just stop sharing?
information or other than it was
No, you
just?
click on the tab.
no, I think they were,
Should just go right there, now we can just have the agenda. until
Here we go.
Switch over.
I don't,
He just said it's published.
yeah, I think it's just out there. And I think we can check, obviously, the council.
Hi, how you doing?
Yes.
It'll be here before you know it.
Yes, it will, bet it will. So, I'm happy to hear that, that's awesome.
Monday through Friday.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
How are you doing?
So now with the school year underway, just do things quiet down for your wife? Is it completely seasonal?
It is not. No, because she does all.
What's her first name?
Joni.
Joni, okay.
Yeah, she has a laundry service, so she does laundry. She's got 50 kids that she does laundry on a weekly basis. She at home, and then she farms stuff out to friends.
Oh my gosh, so they literally just, she like,
picks it up,
Picks it up.
does it, drops it back off to all the dorms in different places. And then she has, there's always birthdays, or Rosh Hashanah is this week. So there's a big Jewish community. And so she's doing 60 Rosh Hashanah boxes. I have to show you, but, and it's, the whole thing just blows my mind. But she's been in the ER a couple times with some kids who've had sicknesses and urgent care
Families
visits.
kind of.
She's like,
her to care
yeah,
for.
she's there. What they call her is the mom awakening, right? So she's on campus and everyone's like,
This is Ohio State.
yeah,
So it's a huge campus.
massive.
I mean, she is a genius.
She is doing something. Yeah, she's actually running out of time. She's like, I haven't had a day off. It's 7 days a week.
So in the summer.
In the summer,
Is she able to reboot?
it goes, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But and then a lot of like Uber trips, so safe alternative to Uber. She does all of those trips for kids and some families to and from the airport, just to campus.
So does she get involved with it? It's homecoming weekend and.
She won't do like bar hopping. It's only
Yeah, okay.
or
I was
if
gonna
a
say,
kid needs a doctor's appointment or they need to get to, she's done that before, or someone has to update their driver's license to the DMV or something like that. Special type trips. She is not going to be 2:30 in the morning picking up kids.
I didn't think so, but I. Mom away from home. I'm away from mom.
If you're in jail, call her.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll try to figure that out. We may need an attorney.
Yeah. Talking with Camille, she said in her previous life, she did say that they would televise the county board meetings. Zoom and
It's all the food, all the drink.
Now, but can people serve there? That's the question.
Servers, there's indoor seating for concerts, for concerts, chambers. So it's got outdoor seating for your
After we, Steve said this was on, Paige said, you better not go there.
Right. It was exceedingly loud. I went down there during sound check.
I think we need to meet with the mayor.
It was like a freaking. Could have had the volume down.
I kept waiting for Beth to come somewhere else and turn it into these.
What's so fun?
I know they are. Yeah.
Did you guys want a handheld or do you want to talk to us?
So you need to be right in the mic or just.
Close as you can. I mean, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
we took the sock off so you could
Yeah, there we
actually get
go.
right into it. No, I mean, decently, I mean, it's picking me up right now.
Yeah.
It's mostly, they can hear you even if you're standing here. This is mostly for.
Because both of us may speak, it might not be a bad idea to.
Handheld?
Yeah.
That'd be fine, yeah. Test, test. It's on. Click and hold off. Same thing back on.
Perfect. Great. Thank you. Okay. Great.
Oh, he's even giving you a mic too.
Let me get you set up as well.
Look at this.
Test, test.
Mic.
same drill. On now, push and hold on.
Okay, great.
Reverse back on.
Thank you.
We're not gonna do the special event on that tonight.
Not going to?
They didn't get back to me, so.
They didn't get back to you? Okay,
So, well, I told them 3 weeks would probably be the quickest we can do it.
okay.
We have precedent. They have.
Now, we had a store one that was doing a special thing. You want a special event? We can't even get it to committee. You'll have to get the information tonight, so we're ready to then take it straight to the next.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
That's right. Exactly.
Is there, Chris and I were talking about this, obviously we want to answer all the questions that come our way from council. Is it open to the public for questions, or is it just, okay,
They are to make their comments. They have a comments. Regular sessions, we allow them to make 2 comments.
We gotta keep it on.
But it's not a question and answer.
gotcha.
It's not a question and answer.
You're not next to
Right, we just didn't know how that would be.
We broadcast.
So this is called the Committee of the Whole.
We do that on the 5th. Not dealing with something else. Sometimes I'm generally it's here's now 3 months down the road. So this month it's yeah. Yeah, no, I think we should have 11 more council members.
So Mayor, the young man that handed us the mic, that's Grant Whitaker, yes. Good. I've communicated with him via email.
Yep.
And is he must be related to all the Whitakers.
Oh, yes, one way or the other, cousins and everything else.
With a last name like that, I assume they're
You got it. Very true.
Yeah, I showed him this one, I'm gonna buy a box.
sounds good.
Hey, Chris.
How you doing?
Good to see you.
What's happening?
Oh,
Jim,
over to hear the good news.
Oh, yeah, awesome. Yeah, we're,
did you take down your own comment, or did somebody take it down for you?
Well, yeah, what they would be would be, you know,
You had to go with somebody's post.
Okay, where's my rhubarb?
how you doing? Good. Good.
Jack did. Jack did. Oh, right. Because I didn't know.
His children.
Yeah, because but yeah, I don't know if my dad was.
Very, very
They're fun to watch.
All right, Jay, Madison, good.
Oh, you still keep
Good, how are you? Good to see you. Daryl Mosby. Yeah, so Jessica has a podcast.
Oh, I need podcasts with all the driving. So what do we have to do? Just talk about events. But I have to listen to Dave
Yes.
to figure out what's happening.
My son plays baseball, senior, and I've been several moms and kids who are like, I never feel so smart when I'm at a party, and I'm like, stop. What is it? Yeah, so I
Oh, yeah.
Cover the Verizon story tomorrow.
Yeah.
Verizon? You must not have Verizon.
I do not, and I also don't watch.
So Verizon has been
Just like the world is, half the world is stopped.
Stop. Ooh, that CEO probably didn't sleep all the night. No. Maybe he'll sleep better tonight than he did last night.
Yeah, he's probably gonna sleep better than Yeah.
Okay, so that's enough. You're taking your strike finders.
No, it just came, actually, the book.
So it's not, I have to read it. It's not a sit down and read it. I can just take the assessment.
Passcode.
Yep, so we did that, so my background like, Graham Nass, the CEO of Allen, had 12 actual registrations, I was like, directly involved in the and we literally changed how our mission is. We started out, I was fresh out of college, because when I worked with, like, you have a fun work culture, what are these people? And it turned out they were only asking to do the minimal they were doing. So we started trying to
what now, where do you fall?
I know, I'm rather my fiber actually. No, it doesn't tell us what you're.
You know what, I'll come over, I'll help you fill it out. Yeah, right. What perfect one person, the problem. So I do all the strategy for all of them.
Okay, for all of that. Okay, so one of the 4 was.
I'll probably fail. And then it'll be in somewhere else.
That's my last one though. She's hereditary syndrome, which is really rare. Having 4 out of 5 is syndrome.
I'm taking so many of these different.
I know. That's the other thing I love about it though is it's one of those things we take, but like at least
It is grounded.
I bet it is. My husband will do so many of those things that he was like,
I need a psychologist.
yeah, that's right. That's worked out great. I don't know how elected officials who are curious psychologists do this. Because it really tests your minds. So, yeah, it's like one moment I'm like, I need 10 minutes of time.
And then he sends you.
I can't afford you. I know. He's like, how high is too high for her to pay?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being here tonight.
Yeah, appreciate it.
It's nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here.
So,
That's really cool. That's really cool. That's very, very good.
Please rise.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. I thank you all for being in attendance here and those that are online that are in attendance. So let's start with roll call.
Okay. Rosenberg.
Present.
Ballard.
Here.
Albrecht. Here. Lotz.
Here.
Carney's out of town. Foney.
Here.
Roach is out of town. Small here.
Here.
Hudson. Here. Blackburn, I believe, is on Zoom.
Here.
He's here.
Did here. Vorse.
Here.
Campbell. Here. Parchman.
Here.
Van Hook.
Here.
Very good. You've all received copies of the minutes of our last meeting of the whole, which was on April 29th. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing and seeing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Okay. At this time, I'm going to open it up if anybody has any comments that they would like to make to the council, that they could step to the microphone. We ask that you do it, since this is a business meeting, you do it in proper business decor, and also that you limit your comments to no more than 5 minutes. This is for comments. It's not a question and answer period. So if you have any comments, please feel free to come forward, and do not address them to any single person in the audience or on the council, but state your name, the ward that you live in, and if you're representing a company, please state the organization that you're representing plus your name. So I'll open it up at this point if anybody has any comments. Okay. All right. Hearing and seeing none, we are going to move on into our first item that we have for this evening. I think it's an exciting one for our community. You know, and before I introduce our guest, I looked up some information that goes back to 2005. I looked at the citizen survey that we did back in 2005. And the question was measurement of what was on citizens having health services. And at that time, the response was 49%. Today, because of St. Elizabeth's, their efforts and so forth, that response is 81, with an average over the last 3 surveys of 83. And that 81 represents a 49% improvement in what the citizens feel that they now have medical services available to them. So, and that rating also is among our more than the national norm for that type of survey. It's somewhere between 10% and up on over and above the national norm. So With that said, I'm going to be happy to introduce the president of St. Elizabeth Hospital, President Chris Clay. And Mr. Clay is going to present to us some items that are going to be happening at St. Elizabeth. This has nothing to do with the TIF or anything like that. It's no increase. It's looking, and he's going to request, there's no vote tonight, it will be at our next council meeting, of an extension of the time frame necessary for them to complete some additional building on their facilities that was discussed when the original agreement was done back in 2011. So over a period of time, there's adjustments. I had granted them an extension of a year, which was my privilege to do so, but to go further out, and they're requesting an extension for 2 years to have this completed, it has to be brought forth to the council for the approval of the council. I think you'll find it interesting as what they have. If you have some questions, I'm sure Mr. Clay will be glad to answer and respond to those. The only thing it does, it just puts an extension out there for them to complete the buildings, which will be taxable and give tax dollars back to the community. So with that, President Clay.
Thank you, Mayor Roach. I appreciate the opportunity to be here this evening. So as you said, my name is Chris Clay, and I have the honor to serve as the president and CEO of St. Elizabeth's Hospital here in O'Fallon. I also have the honor of serving as the president and CEO for the Southern Illinois market of Hospital Sisters Health System. And that market does consist of us here in O'Fallon, our hospital in Breeze, St. Joseph's Hospital Breeze, St. Joseph's Hospital Highland, and Holy Family Hospital in Greenville. So our 4 hospitals make up the Southern Illinois market. Daryl, I'm going to have you introduce yourself as well, please.
Hi, good evening. My name is Daryl Mosby. I'm also part of the Hospital Sisters Health System, partnering with Chris and many others in the health system. My role is really around strategy and business development, and so I run all of that for the entire state of Illinois for HSHS.
Yeah, thank you, Daryl. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about kind of, where we've been and where we're headed. And this is specific to St. Elizabeth's Hospital. So first of all, I do want to say thank you to the City Council for supporting us back in 2011 as we ventured to build the new St. Elizabeth's Hospital here in O'Fallon. And believe it or not, November 4th of this year, we will celebrate our 7-year anniversary of being here in O'Fallon. But our history backs up 150 years. So the year 2025, so next year, we will celebrate the 150th anniversary of St. Elizabeth's Hospital being here in Southern Illinois. And this morning I stood in front of a group of new colleagues. Every other Monday we welcome new colleagues at St. Elizabeth's Hospital. And I talk about our history because it's important for our new people to understand what their obligation is as a new colleague at St. Elizabeth's Hospital. And it's pretty simple. It's to continue carrying forward the mission that our sisters brought to us 150 years ago. And that mission is simply unbiased service. It's taking care of our community without asking a lot of questions. It's really about caring for those who need us. And we've done that consistently well throughout the past 150 years. And I'm extremely proud to be leading St. Elizabeth's Hospital. I'm extremely proud to represent St. Elizabeth's Hospital in this community. And I'm proud of the work that happens at St. Elizabeth's Hospital. As a community, the city of O'Fallon and the citizens who live here, we need to be proud of the fact and thankful that we have not only choice when it comes to health care, but we have access to exceptionally good health care. And we're proud of that at St. Elizabeth's Hospital. But the opportunity that I'm really here to talk with you about tonight is we've outgrown our hospital. And that's a really good problem to have. I talk about, Daryl's here, and he leads strategy for us. And as I think about strategy and strategic planning, as I talk with my leadership team, your strategies are very different if you're wondering where your patients are compared to thinking about how you're going to manage the volume that is here. To give you a little bit of an indicator of how we've grown since we come to O'Fallon, the emergency department is the front door to our hospital. It's where people come when they don't expect that they need health care, but all of a sudden they do. Prior to moving to O'Fallon, we averaged 70 encounters a day in the emergency department. Today we average between 140 to 160 emergency visits a day. So that really just tells you how much we've grown from a volume perspective since making the move to O'Fallon. And I will tell you that our hospital is about half the size in terms of our licensed bed capacity. In the emergency department, in terms of its square footage, is, believe it or not, about 50% of the square footage that we had in Belleville. Now, we operate in a much more efficient manner today in terms of throughput and all those things that we work on from a performance improvement perspective. So we didn't need the amount of square footage that we had in Belleville. But we're at that point where we have to mature as an organization, and that's really why we're here tonight. So we have submitted a certificate of need application to the Health Facilities and Review Board. That's a committee of the Illinois Department of IDPH, and our application was deemed complete today. And we are hoping to be in front of the CON board on January 28th of 2025. That's the soonest we can get in front of that board. And we are asking the state of Illinois to give us permission to construct a 70,000 square foot medical office building that will be located on our campus. Within that medical office building, there will be an ambulatory surgery center. So a 4-bed ambulatory surgery center, in addition to outpatient radiology or diagnostics. So this building will be located along Greenmount Avenue, kind of on the end of our property that's up near the Carrollton Bank. So just to give you a little bit of an idea of where this structure will be located. There's no guarantee at this point, but we are confident that we submitted a very robust and objective application to the Health and Facilities Review Board. So we do anticipate that we will be successful. So the why behind the request is when you look at surgical services at St. Elizabeth's Hospital, we are at 120% capacity. So the average utilization of a surgical services department in hospitals across the U.S. Ranges between 80 and 86%. That's really the sweet spot where you know that you're right-sized in terms of your volume. And like I said, today we're at the 120% in terms of our occupancy. So we're frankly out of space. The feedback we're getting from our current surgeons and surgeons that want to come to this community is it's really about access. Access is really important for us as patients, and access is really important for doctors because all they want to do is take care of their patients, but they need a place to do that. So this surgery center in particular will allow us to take existing volume at St. Elizabeth's Hospital, and I do emphasize existing volume because we are not proclaiming that we are going to pull volume from anyone else in this community or pull volume from other providers. We are attempting, or the approach we're taking is to justify the need for this building based on the volume that happens within the walls of our hospital today. We simply have to get that surgical care that belongs in an outpatient environment out of the hospital and into an outpatient environment so we can take care of bigger heart, bigger neuro, bigger cancer care. So those types of procedures that need hospital level care, access to an ICU, we have those things at St. Elizabeth's Hospital, but we need to clear that path for those types of larger surgical procedures. And the ambulatory surgery center is that strategy. We're embedding the ASC into this medical office building. So the medical office building essentially is is a place where medical groups and physicians can lease space to operate their medical practice. We do have a medical office building on our campus at St. Elizabeth's today. It's at 100% capacity. We've got existing tenants in that building that want to grow their practices, but we don't have anywhere for them to grow or move into. And there are clinical specialists and other providers who aren't in this community today that want to be in this community. We need a place for them to be. And the medical office building is that strategy that will allow for us to bring new services to this community where constituents have to travel to receive that care today. So in justifying need, as it relates to the CON application, we have worked with a number of physician groups, physicians that we currently partner with today, and they have made commitments from a volume perspective. Again, volume that they're doing at St. Elizabeth's today, but there's a percentage of their work that can be done in an outpatient setting, and so we're using that volume to justify this need. But in addition, there are physicians and physician groups that have submitted letters of intent to occupy this medical office building already. And here's a really good example. Cardinal Glennon, we've got access to some of the best pediatric care in this region. In Cardinal Glennon, in Children's Hospital, Cardinal Glennon has made a commitment to leasing a significant amount of space in this building, bringing advanced pediatric care to this community. Now, we partner with Glennon today. We've got a Glennon pediatrician that's in our hospital 24/7, taking care of kids in our emergency department and taking care of babies in our women and infant center. So it's really just an evolution of that partnership today. So with that being said, I'm sharing this with the City Council because if you rewind back to 2011, when we partnered, my predecessors partnered with this council to help us prepare to construct St. Elizabeth's Hospital. We made a commitment to grow, and that's why we're here today, is to fulfill that commitment we made back in 2011. But we need time. We need 2 more years from an extension perspective to get this done. If all goes as planned, we could very likely have shovels in the ground in the first quarter of calendar year 2025, and ultimately that is our goal. Daryl, what did I miss?
Not a thing. I don't even know why I'm here, Chris.
Yeah. Well, this is your work.
Oh.
You've done an amazing job.
Chris, did you want to touch upon the impact it'll have on your existing facility in addition to the new building?
Yeah, so like I said, Mayor.
I mean, some of it's down the road a little ways.
Yeah, so I did mention that, when we came to O'Fallon, our bed capacity, we reduced that. We're currently licensed at 144 beds, and when we were in Belleville, we were licensed at 300 plus. I don't remember what the exact number was, but it was over 300 beds. Now, we didn't occupy all those beds at that time in Belleville. But our average daily census at St. Elizabeth's exceeds 160. We were licensed at 140 beds. So it does speak to the capacity opportunities that we have in our emergency department and the capacity opportunities that we have on the inpatient side of the house. So I've talked about being at 120% capacity from a surgical services perspective. We will solve for that with this medical office building and the ambulatory surgery center. But the inpatient capacity situation and the ED capacity situation, those are strategies that are coming down the pike for us organizationally. But what I will tell you as a city council, one of the key priorities from a performance improvement perspective right now for us at St. Elizabeth's is patient throughput, safe patient throughput. We need to make sure that we are moving patients efficiently through that episode of care in the emergency department, and if they need to make it to an inpatient bed, we need to make sure our processes internally are efficient, so we are just moving people through that continuum of care in a way where there just aren't barriers, because we can't afford to not be efficient because we're out of space.
Yeah, the only last piece I would leave with the council is, and Chris did an amazing job of laying this all out, is this, as you know, HSHS and St. Elizabeth's are non-for-profit. The building that we're proposing and moving forward and has already been submitted and deemed complete through the IDPH is for a taxable 70,000 square foot MOB and ASC. And we will be doing that not just on the campus at St. Elizabeth's, but we'll be partnering with a third-party developer to help us ensure that this will be a taxable space for the city of O'Fallon.
Did either one of you want to touch upon, I know it's a sizable investment, approximate investment you're looking at long-term?
Yeah, so this building, the structure that we're talking about, it's a $50 million investment. So the medical office building and the surgery center. And then, as we talked about, the inpatient and emergency department, activities that we're discerning on internally today, there's significant dollars associated with that investment. So if we're successful with all of our visioning and our strategic visioning, for this community, it will be ultimately a third of your initial investment to build St. Elizabeth's Hospital home. Now, there's a process with all of this, with the certificate of need. There's a process that's in place here in the state of Illinois. So we have to navigate all of that, just like any other healthcare entity. If the project that you are intending to move forward with meets certain threshold criteria, and this project does, hence the CON application. Now, I will say, we moved with speed intentionally because of the volume opportunities that I've highlighted here. The CON application process, the preparation process is commonly a 6 to 9 month process, and we completed that in about 45 days. So we're moving with urgency intentionally because we owe it to this community, we owe it to our patients.
Does anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask Chris?
No question. Appreciate you all being here. So having understood the CON process, it seems like what's being proposed is sort of right size, like this is what you think you need based on current volume. Does the CON process prohibit you from sort of dreaming bigger based on knowing that our community is growing? I mean, in the last 2 years, I think the council has approved 6 or 7 assisted living, memory care, places for people over the age of 55. So I sense that there's...
Interesting. So the CON process is not designed from a
for growth
nature.
I get that.
Around growth, right? So hence the reason, to Chris's point, this has been developed in order for us to free up the capacity that we're lacking within our own institution today.
So I come from a state that is not a CON state, and so there's pros and cons to all situations. And in a non-CON state, it's not uncommon to find yourselves in situations where there's too much of a certain service. And what happens is, costs go up, and then you battle for consumers, you battle for colleagues, and sustainability is challenged. And we've seen, challenging situations play out in the world of healthcare and other pockets of the country where the certificate of need situation is not in place. Now, from a state of Illinois perspective, the certificate of need process it's tedious, but the reality is it's there to justify need. So if you think about the true why behind the CON process, it's to reduce redundancy, because it does reduce cost, and it helps you make sure you've got the right service and the right services and the right amount of such services in a certain geography. The challenge with it is, to your point, Jessica, is it doesn't necessarily allow you to plan for growth. I mean, you can, because the point is to justify your ask, and so it is a really good question, but yeah, I mean, you definitely vision and kind of foresee where you want to go, but there's only so much that you really can do within the Daryl, anything else? Okay.
Anyone else? I thank you very much. Appreciate it. And if we do have any other questions, we'll get to you before this comes to the council. This will come to the council at our next full council meeting, the first Monday in October.
Very good. Thank you.
Right, and just also, the question wasn't asked, but just so, as clarification, the only role the city council has in this project right now is for approving the extension for the taxable office space. In the original planned use agreement and redevelopment agreement back in 2011, already pre-approved all of the construction for medical office space that they're doing. So there will not be another project coming to us that the council will have to approve. They won't need to go through the planning commission or the city council to start their construction. They'll have to follow our normal building processes with the building permit and all of that, but they do not need to get city council's approval to start construction on their building. It's only for the requirement in the redevelopment agreement on taxable office space.
And so just to clarify that further, if it's extended, that benefits the organization in the sense that a lot of what they're building, certain parts of that can be submitted back to the city and be reimbursed via TIF dollars.
Correct. The purpose of these square footage requirements was because the city put a bond out as a part of the construction to pay for the mine remediation, and the city wanted assurances that the hospital would build enough taxable office space to pay off the bond payments, the debt on the bond payments. So it was a negotiation between the city and HSHS, and they were the ones that provided the timeline on the square footages. And so as part of the redevelopment agreement, it says that if they don't meet those square footage requirements, they can ask for extensions. The mayor could give a one-year extension, which he did last year, but any other extension beyond that requires city council approval, which is why we're here. And if they start construction in spring of '25 and then finish sometime in '26, that would be more than a year. So the resolution gives them till December 31st of 2026 to complete their project.
Yeah, all goes as planned. We anticipated about the 18-month build, so the 2-year extension would allow us to meet that that timeline.
Any other questions?
What
Ross?
happens on the outside chance, and I'm not predicting it happens, but what happens on the outside chance the city council does not vote to give an extension?
Well, then you would not have any additional taxable buildings to be built.
Well, the development agreement says that if they don't meet their square footages, then they would pay us cash for what the difference would be that they're not providing in taxable space. That answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Any other question?
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Okay, our next subject matter that we have on the agenda is the National Citizen Survey. Before Walter is going to cover this, but before, I'd like to just point out a couple of things. I try to go through these surveys and I look back through not just the recent survey, but okay, what's it been over the years? Where have we seen improvements? Where have we seen downfalls? Where are there things we need to address and so forth? And it also gives us a comparison of where we stack up on a national basis, because it is done on a national among thousands of other cities. I'd like to just point out 4 of those items that are rated more than, and when you see the more than, that does not speak to more than on this survey compared with our survey. It is speaking to that it is 10% or better over the national norm. So that's what. So I'd just like to address that because I think it's a compliment to our staff, it's a compliment to this council. O'Fallon, as a place to raise children, has a score of 94, and over a 3-year survey average in the last 3, it's 93. That is above the national, that again is 10% or more over. The city is generally acting in the best interest of the community with a score of 70 and a 3-year survey average of 69. The general overall direction the city is going with a score of 70 and a 3-year survey average of 71. And would recommend living in O'Fallon to someone else with a score of 93 and a 3-year survey average is 93. So those, I think, are some things that this council and our staff can be very proud of because they've all worked together to achieve those type of, and that's just 4 of the things that are pluses. I believe there's 17 questions on here that ranked at a 10% or higher than the national norm, and then I think there was 3 that ranked lower than the national norm. So, Walter, with that.
Okay, so as part of, in the action item in the staff report, it showed this interactive digital dashboard, which is a really good way of looking at the report. And you can read this yourself, so I'm not going to go through it in too much detail, but I wanted to at least go through the format of it and show some different things and highlight a few things that we found in here. First, for the methodology of the survey, 3,000 randomly selected households were identified by this company. We had no role in who was selected or not. And it began in July of 24. We received 491 responses for a response rate of 17%, which is actually a pretty good response rate. And with that number of responses, what they call as a 95% confidence level, which means that the results of this survey are 95% certain that these are the opinions of the O'Fallon population in general. Another way to look at that is it says that there's a margin of error of 4% plus or minus the number that they have on there. So as you look through the numbers from this year's survey and compare them to previous years, if you're within 4% above or below, consider that to be kind of the same score. It's only when you get 5% and above where that would be considered a significant difference between previous surveys. So, they have a tab here of key findings. And talks about how quality of life continues to be a strength for O'Fallon, and overall image and reputation of residents recommended living in O'Fallon is scoring higher than national averages, as the mayor said. So that's a very high scores. Health and wellness, as we just heard, was very high, and they like the business community and the vibrancy of downtown, which has increased a lot over the years as well, due to a lot of the work that's been done with the downtown district and the farmers market. And above average for public transportation and quality of bus services, which we don't have anything to do with. But lower performing areas, internet access, which we don't have much to do with, garbage, stormwater. This will come up a couple of times as we go through here. If you remember, we had a major storm event in July of 2024. So you'll see reactions from that storm event play out in the survey responses, whereas stormwater management ratings went down significantly from the last time we did the survey 2 years ago. So here's these tabs here, if you go through the website, are very easy of looking at what people thought about the community. This does a comparison of how important residents feel these services are versus their quality. And if you move down to the bottom, there's a kind of a handy chart that shows the comparison of importance versus quality. You can see here on utilities that the second one says that importance is 90% and the quality is 62%. As we go through and look at some of the utilities, they gave high marks for water and sewer, but low marks for stormwater. So we believe that the ratings they have for utilities may reflect from that storm event. But besides that one, all the other areas are fairly close together. If you move on to these other tabs, this shows, it goes, since we've been doing these surveys since 2005, we have a pretty good benchmarking with ourselves over time. And then if you notice next to the 2024 mark where there it says similar or higher, that is what they're saying, whether it's similar to the national average or higher than the national average or lower than the national average. It doesn't have to do with whether it's higher or lower compared to other surveys. It's how we rate to the national average. So you'll see as here for like place to live, quality of life, remain in O'Fallon for the next 3 years, that number is similar to the national average, whereas recommended living to O'Fallon to someone who asks, that is higher than the national average benchmark. And there's about over 500 cities that have taken this survey over the years. So there's a pretty robust database. And then overall image and reputation, that's another one where higher than the national average. Any questions about anything so far? All right, so we'll go quickly. See here for overall confidence in O'Fallon government. All are either similar or higher than the national average and are pretty close to previous scores from other surveys, so no big changes for that. And I don't think there's anything to report other than to point out that, and this is pretty common nationally, that residents' rating of the quality of services by the city government is higher than the federal government by quite a bit. And they used to have a question on the state government, but several years ago they removed that question. But I don't know why, but nationally they removed the question. But normally what happens is people's ratings of the federal government are the lowest, and then states a little higher, and then the city governments they have more confidence in than the state and federal government. And 80% is a really good score, and you can see that we've maintained that over the years, and so that's pretty similar. Their numbers on economic health are fairly close to previous years, as well as a place to work, place to visit, economic development, quality of businesses. You can see the variety of businesses and the vibrancy of downtown is higher than the national average. So I think that's something that's been a priority for this city council over the years, particularly with economic development along the Central Park I-64 corridor and with the downtown businesses and the downtown district and the amount of money that's been spent in both of those areas. So I think that's a good marking for the work that the city council has been doing over the years. And then here's an interesting one at the very bottom, that from 2018 to 2022, people kept having a decreasing confidence in the economy, but it's gone up a little bit since 22, so for whatever that's worth. So here's the mobility. It talks about overall quality of the transportation system other than roads. I'm not sure what they're talking about. You know, it's kind of a vague comment. Traffic flow on major streets is pretty close, as well as parking, ease by travel, ease by public transportation. Ease of travel by bicycle's gone down a little bit, which is interesting since we've been working on bike trails, but Bike Trail Master Plan has just been completed, so that's something that the council can work on. And then ease of walking has also declined, so I'm not sure what that is. One of the areas that we're lower than the national average is the use of public transportation instead of driving. I don't know that that would be a surprise to anyone here. Not using the public bus system. And then, but then people's rankings of the bus system is higher than the national average, even though I guess not as many people use it. I know, so. I don't know.
Well, Walter, let me just, one of the things that's interesting when you look at some of these is when you were just talking about walking and biking, because you'll come to another one in here that says availability of paths and walkways, and that's up.
Yeah,
That's
so,
up.
yeah, some of the responses are contradictory.
Yeah.
So moving to community design, this is one that overall layout's pretty similar. Your neighborhood as a place to live is similar to previous years. The scoring for well-planned residential growth, while it's a little lower than the last couple of surveys, it's still higher than the national average. All the other ones are all similar. Variety of housing options is higher than the national average, even though our score went lower from previous years, as well as the overall quality of new development and overall appearance are higher than the national average. Utilities is one of those that I think was hit with the stormwater management. The overall quality of utility infrastructure went down quite a bit from 2022. But then if you look at the scores for drinking water and sewer services, those did not decline as much, other than stormwater utility went down pretty significantly by 19 points. So, and then electric and the power utility went down 8%, while we don't have anything to do with that. When they're talking about utilities and utility billing, that might be part of their answer, but just speculation. Safety, as always, scores high, and it continues to score high, and there's really no changes in that over previous years. People overwhelmingly feel safe in O'Fallon, and also feel very strongly about fire services and EMS services and our emergency preparedness. And then natural environment's pretty close. The one interesting one here is our lower than average ratings for water resources. And we're not really sure what that means, other than maybe we don't have a recreational lake in town or something, because their ratings for drinking water are high. So water resources in this case is maybe recreational water sources. Or maybe it's another rating about stormwater. Not real sure. Going on to the next tab, ratings for Parks and Recreation continue to be high and are similar with previous surveys. Nothing really to go, nothing real serious to go and talk to about that because all of the ratings are within the margin of error and similar with others. So, we talked already about health and wellness. Those have been up for the last few ratings, particularly because of the new hospital. You know, the mayor went back to 2005 where they were pretty low, but these last 4 surveys have been since the St. Elizabeth's opened. And so all but one of these ratings are all higher than the national average. So they are very pleased with the what they're getting.
Maybe the decline in each one of them over the last couple of years is what he was talking about capacity.
Capacity. Could very well
That's
be.
possible. And the cost.
And the cost.
Yep. You're right.
Yep.
Education, arts, and culture. City of O'Fallon doesn't have a lot to do with all of the, with some of these, other than with some of the downtown activities. Some of those arts and music festivals have been vibrant. Very high scores for K through 12 education, which probably wouldn't surprise anybody. That's higher than the national average, and everything else is similar. You can notice the opportunities to attend special events and festivals has gone up quite a bit, and I think that's due to some of the work that's been done in the downtown area over the last few years with the downtown district, and people continue to like library services. Which brings us to the custom questions. Every year, every time we get to ask some special questions about what people feel is important and which ones they prioritize funding over others. And so you can see here their ratings for the different services from code enforcement, economic development, library services, of course, public safety, and infrastructure are rated the highest. And then the last question we asked, as you know, the public library and the library board has been going through a master planning process to determine whether, about building a new library in the future. So we asked this custom question, to what extent they would support or oppose the city building a new and larger library. You can see that 69% of those surveyed supported a new library. Of course, they haven't seen anything about cost and size and everything else, and that'll be forthcoming. The library boards are working on that, but at least they wanted to get a preliminary reading of how people felt about the library, and I think that we can take that as to be a positive step. I went through this really fast. This online portal of the report is very easy to read, and it has some really interesting marks in it. One thing I didn't go through, they have this interactive dashboard where you can click on one of these questions, and then when you go down, they'll give you all of the demographic comparisons of from different demographic breakdowns of how they rated it according to income level and other demographics. So that's another good way to look at it, that you can get more into the data than just the PDF report that we attached. So any questions on that? I think in general it was a good survey. It's very similar to what we've done in past years, and I think is a testament to the priorities that the City Council has placed over the years on how to provide quality services, and appreciate the staff and what they do to help us provide these services as well.
This will be on the website, right? City website?
Is it on there yet? I think it hasn't. Yeah, we just got it a couple weeks ago, so.
But
It will be, yes.
to get to that digital dashboard, that'll be, you have to wait till you get it up?
So,
Currently, it's on the agenda. After this meeting, we're gonna post it tomorrow.
right.
Okay,
Yeah, we wanted to go through it with you first, so.
super.
Any other questions for Walter on that? No? Okay. Those were the only two items we had on the agenda for tonight, so at this point, I will throw it open again to see if there's any comments anybody has that they'd like to make. Seeing and hearing none, I would then ask for a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We stand adjourned. Thank you.